project will promote environmental stewardship through professional trail design that protects sensitive natural resources. We are particularly excited about the collaborative nature of this project. RI NEMBA has demonstrated a strong commitment to equitable access, community engagement, and long-term trail maintenance. This will be a valuable recreation resource for all Gloucester residents, and we're happy to promote the trail once completed on our website. We believe Echo Lake Trail Building Project is a strong candidate for the Trail Accelerator Grant and will serve as a model for community-driven outdoor recreation in our region. We hope that IMBA will consider this project favorable and offer your support in bringing this shared vision of life. Please don't hesitate to contact me with any questions. Sincerely, William A. Worthy, Town Council President. End of letter.
I had a question for the planner. So, the town of Burrable, they're on board with this project as well?
Yep, I reached out and I had a conversation with their town planner, and they are supporting this project as well. And it was actually a Gloucester resident who reached out, who was writing the grant. He's really excited about it, and it's right on the line, so it'll be accessible to both communities really easily. Again, no cost to Gloucester. We're not putting any money into this. This is an outside organization trying to develop these trails with DEM.
Will they maintain it?
Yep. Yeah. There'll be DEM trails, and I think they're in on DEM property, and I think they're in a partnership with this this Rhode Island chapter of the New England Mountain Biking Association, or however they are. So it's the Mountain Biking Association who's really taking the lead on this.
They actually they self-clean all of their trails anywhere that they put trails.
Yeah,
it's a really nice organization.
That we're part of that organization, kind of being like, taken apart, but
yeah,
that's cool. They're gonna do that. That's pretty neat.
Cool project.
Yeah, good. Thank you. Can I get a motion, please?
Motion to authorize the town council president to sign the letter of support to the International Mountain Biking Association, IMBA, for a grant for mountain bike trails at RIDEM Campground, Echo Lake in Barraville.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. D, West Glocester LLC and Factory Mutual Insurance, discussion or action. Town's been involved in establishing a fair assessment of Factory Mutual since our taxation pilot greed ended. So number one, taxation update. Our solicitor can give everyone an update.
Mr. President, members of the council, as of Monday, West Gloucester LLC and Factory Mutual Insurance Company appealed in Superior Court the tax assessment that was levied. So this is the third step, right? The first step was an appeal to the tax assessor. The second step was appeal to the Board of Assessment Review, and then both of those appeals were denied, and they have now filed action in court. They haven't served the assessor yet, but they filed it in court. We've confirmed it was filed in the deadline. It had to be filed within 30 days of the decision of the Board of Review.
Yes, so 30 days from March 12th, which was then April 11th.
So they had to file an appeal by that day, and they did. Now it will be served. As you know, a couple of pieces of the puzzle. The council has already retained special counsel with regard that is an expert in tax litigation, and they did that originally with a budget money from ARPA money, but that's one piece of the puzzle. And the other piece of the puzzle, the council retained, because this is a special purpose property, the council retained the services of Sanssouci and Associates, who are experts, engineers and appraisers, and they specialize in municipal and government special tax assessment appeals of special purpose properties, and they only represent municipal governments. They do not represent both parties. Mm-hmm. And this council retained them, and they have been made aware of the appeal. So the next step will be the lawyer for the Lisa Freeze is the attorney, will be answering the case, preparing discovery, and working with Sanssouci, who worked on their appraisal, obviously, for the last 2 or 3 years now, right? Yeah. 2 or 3 years. So this will obviously play itself out in court. There will not be a court hearing anytime soon. It'll be, typically these take a year to 18 months before it goes to trial. Normally what will happen is, I think I mentioned messages to the council is, before that first case gets heard, there'll be another appeal for this year's taxes. And then finally, after year 2 or 3, the first case gets reached in court,
They combine all of them.
and they combine all 3. So that's typically what happens in tax appeals. Whether this will get a little faster or a little slower, difficult to tell at this point because we don't know what kind of discovery is involved. But that's the status of the case right now, unless I left out anything. Did I leave out anything that we discussed?
I noticed them for the back years.
That's right, and with the guidance of the tax attorney, the tax assessor has also provided additional notices for back taxes.
The difference.
Yes.
The difference,
Yes.
and that will be, they're gonna have, they get the same benefit of an appeal process. That will go out with this tax year. So this tax year, they'll have 90 days to appeal from the tax bill, just like every taxpayer, and they'll have 90 days to appeal those back tax differences. And then if they appeal that, go through the same 3-step process. They go to the tax assessor's office, if she denies it, it'll go to the Board of Assessment Review. If they deny it, then it'll be in Superior Court, and then there'll be another case in court.
Yep.
So,
And just to be clear on that, so when they went from 3 million to 2.3, that clawback is that 700.
correct.
And then then they went to 1.7, so then we were going for 1.3 on top of that to keep it whatever it was at the pilot. Okay, thank you.
So those claims are being made. Now, the strengths and weaknesses of all 3 claims are different, just so we're clear, and, we'll have to leave that discussion with Attorney Freeze.
Mhm.
But, it's not, just because we send bills doesn't mean we win the cases, right?
Right.
Those cases are gonna be litigated. And so the other point, okay, I'll stop there. And when you get to number 2, we can talk about that.
Yep.
Is there any questions about that? That's the posture of the case. The appeal was just filed on Friday of last week, right?
I think on the 8th.
The 8th of April.
Number 2, funding update, including ARPA project number 31 and budget funds.
So I'm not familiar with all these funds, but I do want to just remind the council that Sansucci and Associates was primarily retained and paid for their services through ARPA funds up until today's period. Going forward, if these appeals keep on going forward, the council will need to be budgeting, I think they gave us a range of close to $50,000 a year.
About that, yeah.
Basically, Sansucci is doing 2 things for the council. They are now on, the council has decided to enter into, you've already done that, a 5-year contract where they do the annual assessment and appraisal of that property. Special Purpose is the largest taxpayer in town. It unfortunately needs that kind of attention. And then on top of that, with litigation, Mr. Sansucci has indicated the council should be thinking in terms of approximately $50,000 a year if this litigation continues to go. That's for their experts. They don't just prepare appraisals, they're experts that testify, they're all qualified experts that testify in court. And I'll remind the council, during an interview, we required that they be qualified to testify in court as a condition of getting the contract.
Okay.
That's one piece. And the other piece, as you know, Attorney Freeze was retained originally with funds, and there's still ARPA funds in a budget for her that came from ARPA that the council appropriated. But if this continues to go in the future, the council's going to need to be budgeting some funds for that special piece of litigation that may turn into 2, 3, or 4 cases.
Okay.
So I think that's my recollection of the meeting. Did I miss anything?
I don't think so. I think we got it.
So I think that brings us up to date where we are on that. I don't have any more information for you unless if you want to speak. Obviously, Ms. Freeze is available for questions, and Mr. Sansucci is available for questions as well.
Right. All right, any questions?
No.
Oh, good, okay. Thank you. Board and contracts and purchases, consideration of awards and bids, discussion interaction, A, IFB 2025-02, full depth pavement reclamation. Finance director has submitted the following memo, Honorable Town Council from Elizabeth A. Beltram. Finance director, IFB 2025-02, full depth pavement reclamation, and that's April 17, 2025. The Glocester Board of Contracts met on Thursday, April 17th, and voted to recommend award as requested. Please see attached. Respectfully, Elizabeth A. Beltram, and a memo. Memo from DPW Director, April 16, 2025, to Board of Contracts and Purchases from Gary S. Tremmel, Public Works Director, bid for full depth reclamation. On April 15, 2025, the bid opening for full depth pavement reclamation was opened at Town Hall. 3 bids were received. Allstate, 1.9, $1.90 square foot yard, 144 square foot yard calcium, 3.34 total. Murray, 262 square yard, 0.75 square yard calcium, 337 total. Olympia, 363 square yard, 209 square yard calcium, 5.72. The difference between the first and the second bidder is 0.3 cents per square yard. Murray Paving and Reclamation has been providing this service to the town of Gloucester since 2011. They never raised their pricing for 3 consecutive years, 21, 22, 23. Murray also performs work for our paving contractor, Peckham Industries. This close working relationship makes scheduling the 2 process seamless. Murray's grading operation is exceptional. We have no problems with puddles or water exiting the roadway in the wrong places. I'm requesting this bid be awarded to Murray Paving and Reclamation. Respectfully submitted, Gary S. Tremmel, and a memo. Reclamation? Reclamation, thank you.
I wanted to say something.
Yeah.
Yeah, say stuff.
Now you wanna.
You were on,
You
yeah,
did
exactly.
great.
I mean, he was on a roll.
New one.
I just added a new word to my vocabulary.
Reclamation.
It should not be clam.
No, or claim.
Clam Nation.
Right.
Claim.
Reclamation,
No,
that makes
there's no
sense. Thank you, sorry. Can I get a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to award IFB 2025-02 full depth pavement reclamation to Murray Paving and Reclamation for the bid price of $262 a square yard, 75 cents a square yard calcium, 337 total.
Okay, a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You said that flawlessly.
I know. But every time you said it, I had to go.
It was in your head, right?
Yes, I can't.
B.
I can't remember that.
IFB 2025-03 storage shed for senior center. The bid process was followed and no bids were received by the Board of Contracts and Purchases. The Finance Director has submitted a memo. Honorable Town Council from Elizabeth A. Beltram, Finance Director, IFB 2025-02 full depth payment reclamation, did it. Date, April 17, 2025. The Glocester Board of Contracts met on Thursday, April 17, 2025, and voted to recommend award as requested. Please see attached. Respectfully, Elizabeth A. Beltram, and a memo. Request from DPW Director. April 16, 2025, to Elizabeth Beltram, Finance Director, from Gary S. Tremmel, Public Works Director, Storage Shed, Senior Center. Currently, the Senior Center has $15,000 in capital account for a new storage shed. They're looking for a 10 by 20 shed to replace 2 aging buildings at the rear of the building. They also request the shed be located on concrete slab to prevent settling and rot to the new shed. New concrete slab was poured April 15th, 2025 by Public Works. Home Depot has several kits from a third-party vendor. They are pre-cut kits that require complete assembly. They come with siding and no roof systems. The siding is warranted by the manufacturer, but the shed is not. The shed was priced at $6,305.97 without a roof and multiple hours of labor to construct it. Reed's Ferry Shed was contacted to give a quote on the same size shed. Their price was $9,946.50. This included the complete shed, roof system, assembly on our slab, and a 30-year warranty. A local contractor was contacted, Gilmore Construction, to give a quote on a stick building a shed on our slab. The quote was $12,875 back on March 3rd, 2025. Due to the dollar amount on the shed, it was determined the shed would have to go out to bid. The shed was posted by the town for a competitive bid. The bid opening was held on April 15, 2025 at 1:15 p.m. No one submitted a bid. I'm requesting the shed be purchased by Reed's Ferry for the current price of $9,946.50. Respectfully, Gary Tremmel, DPW Director. End of memo. Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to authorize the DPW director to purchase a 10-foot by 20-foot shed from Reed's Ferry Shed for the price of approximately $9,946.50 to include the complete shed, roof system, assembly on a slab, and a 30-year warranty.
Got a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Thank you, Gary. X, legislative updates, discussion, interaction. Anybody have any legislation updates?
Kind of disappointed in the league.
Me too.
They're not supporting any of our concerns, especially when it comes to zoning, so, some of their, if you read their email, some of their, what's the word I'm looking for? What they're really focused on right now really isn't helping our town,
No.
so kind of disappointed in that. I think next year, either we get Randy in here and let's talk to him and find out what's going on, or next year we seriously consider about not being part of that, because
We had him in this past year, didn't we?
last year,
Yeah.
but not with Randy Rossi.
No, I thought Randy came in.
He came in to say hi,
Yeah.
Oh, that was it.
introduce himself.
Yeah, that was it. Smithfield, through a proposed bill to combat the density and the same issues that we're having. They're repealing the State Affordable Housing Act, and Councilor Michael Ionati has been leading that charge. I'd like to maybe hear what they're doing.
I saw that, and, while, my opinion, yeah, it does something to address all these really overreaching things that are happening at the state as far as local zoning, I think it's a Band-Aid,
Mhm.
but it doesn't hurt to find out more about it.
Yeah. Yeah, 100% agree.
I don't know, the plan is here, I don't know if Karen, have you read Mr. Ionati's, if you can get a chance to do that in the next week or so, you can kind of give us some feedback on what you feel it is.
I feel like it was a good plan for Smithfield, but I don't know if it's a good fit for Hollister.
That was my feeling.
They have sewer, they have water. But, yeah.
Because going back to the league, we sent out those 5 or 6 possible bills that are out there right now, and our proposal to it, they didn't mention any of them, so I don't know where they're
Right.
at. It's frustrating, because that's gotta be happening to other members of the league, and that's not their priority. Some of the things that, I don't wanna say frivolous, but I'm like, what about everybody?
Yeah, not to comment on other towns, but, a lot of people are pretty upset with their representation.
Mhm.
They have the opportunity and they have the funds and the manpower to be making a change, and we're still sitting here with government outreach.
Yeah. I think they've been given their orders. Good on that?
Yep.
Town council correspondence? We did get a request from the U.S. Small Business Administration to provide proclamation in support of the 2025 National Small Business Week. Must be submitted by May 2nd, 2025. We'd like to put that on the next agenda. And there was a Verizon broadband expansion that we need, whether or not we're gonna support. And then Burrville has a hearing for a major land redevelopment project at the Glen Hill Athletic Fields. No council discussion?
I guess my only question is, which one's the Glen Hill Athletic asking to do a lot of different, the turf fields. So
Yes.
Yeah,
that's
it's gonna be the high school.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's one they've been talking about.
Yeah.
because of the dirt and the oil and all that other stuff. All right, department head reports. Any department heads here? Come on up again.
I got stuff, right?
Love it.
Just two pieces of good news I wanted to share. If you remember, we did this Active Village revitalization plan back in December 2020. It was like kind of the 5-year implementation plan and vision to how to kind of get from where we were to what we wanted the village to look like. And since then, we've done a lot. It happens incrementally, so sometimes you don't see the progress, but when you look at it all together, it's actually kind of amazing the things that have happened over the past 4 and some years. With that, this plan has won an award from the Rhode Island chapter of the American Planning Association for Best Plan Implementation. This is really exciting. It's a statewide award. It's recognizing that we put together a good plan and then went ahead and did exactly what we said we were going to do. The award ceremony for that is April 24th at 6. If anyone wants to come represent the town of Glocester with me, let me know. We have to buy tickets. It's like a dinner. It's a whole thing.
April 24th,
At 6.
6 p.m.
Yep, so it's at Governor Noddy Park in North Providence. And then, this is exciting because we've never gotten awards before this year. We got 2. Grow Smart Rhode Island, if you know that organization, they do an award ceremony every year, and they're recognizing the same plan as Outstanding Smart Growth Plan. Statewide award, the only one that got it this year, it's this. For that one, it's a more elaborate award ceremony. It's May 8th at 5:15 at the Providence Library, Providence Library, the fancy one. So if anyone would like to join me to accept this award on behalf of Gloucester, please let me know. It's a ticketed event, so I gotta get some tickets. This is really exciting for the town. Rural communities very rarely win these statewide awards. It takes a lot to kind of rise above everything that's happened statewide and get recognized for what we do here. So this is a really good piece of good news. And I also want to say this isn't just a planning award. It's kind of a collaborative award. The amount of people that have to go into what happens in the village is like mind-blowing. It's Public Works and the boards and commissions, Charlie Wilson and the Economic Development Commission. Everyone has a piece in what has happened to make these awards come out. The last thing I'll say is Grow Smart asked for a lot of pictures, like 30. They put together like a whole video presentation to show kind of the before and after. And so after this award ceremony in May, I would love to try and get that from them and show it at a meeting so that you can kind of see, because it really is super satisfying to see these small incremental changes add up to something pretty amazing. So,
And let me just add too, because it's not just the Town of Gloucester award, but Karen, you kind of led the charge along the way. You herded the cats, you brought in a lot of funding as well, which is huge. That's the whole thing. Without the funding, none of that happens. So I want to thank you for that, because that award's not just for the town, but it's also for you, because you did a lot. A lot of people were involved, but you kind of led the charge. So.
pretty exciting.
Great job.
Thank you. All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Any other department heads? Boards and commissions? Any counselors have anything? All right, open forum. All right. Hello, hello.
Hello. I bring you tonight a special Gloucester son, an original. This man has been planning to do something to remember his ancestor. And this, finally, after several years of working back and forth, trying to decide what to do, he's finally come up with an idea, and we hope that a little fragment of the town property can be used to support Lawrence Owen. Is that a familiar name to you all?
Yeah.
Lawrence, all up to you.
Thank you. Very much for that wonderful introduction. I can hand these out to you. Good evening, Town Council, town officials, and the people of the village of Chepachet and the town of Gloucester. My name is Lawrence Owen. I am a direct descendant of Lieutenant Governor Daniel Owen. Daniel was my 5th great-grandfather of my paternal ancestral lineage. His son Thomas is my direct bloodline, and Thomas is buried in a Coates Cemetery with his wife Martha. It's my pleasure and great honor to be here tonight to propose a monument dedicated to the life and duties of the 26th Chief Justice of Rhode Island and Lieutenant Governor of Rhode Island, Honorable Daniel Owen, Esquire, 1732 to 1812. I want to especially thank Ms. Edna Kay, our town historian, for her steadfast interest and continuous support for this important historical resource. There's a definite need for such a monument to Daniel's life, especially for being recognized for his patriotic and civil service in the town of Gloucester, village of Chepachet, and the state of Rhode Island. Daniel was a blacksmith, forge owner, and operator of a water-powered trip hammer next to the Chepachet River. He was born in 1732, the same year as George Washington, and became a freeman in 1757. He married Hannah Angel, and their first son, Asel, was born that same year, 1757. Hannah and Daniel had 12 children together during their 55 years of marriage. Daniel made fine iron implements for farming and agricultural purposes when he discovered iron ore found on his property in Chepachet. He also made plows, harrows, rims for wheels, cranes, trammels, and horseshoes through the use of his heavy hammer, which is the water-powered trip hammer. He sold them throughout the colonies. He was also an aggressive advocate for paper money and coinage, and he stressed mathematically a decimal system, one of the first to do it in the United States at the time. And on July 6, 1787, a die or stamp was established for the first United States cent called the Fugio cent, and Daniel assisted in the manufacturing process of this coinage. So the important aspects of Daniel's life are significant, as he was the leader of the Country Party and an influential anti-federalist. He was chosen deputy of the General Assembly in 1775 and 76 and part of the colony's committee to procure gold and silver for the Revolutionary War effort in the North. He was elected president of the ratifying convention for the Constitution and the General Assembly in Newport and South Kingston, adopting the Constitution of the United States in May of 1790, and the colony of Rhode Island and Providence Plantations were the last colony out of the 13 colonies to ratify the Constitution, and Daniel's signature was on those papers, 2 letters to and from George Washington. I do have that, and we duplicated Daniel's signature on the plaque below, and I have 2 examples of 2 styles or formats. One is a bulleted format, and the other one is a paragraph format. It's the same information on there. We could have going onto this more easier way to read the plaque, and but they both present well at this point. But I think right now we're going with that format, the bulleted. So people are trying to read it. It'll take them a little bit more time. But those are the 2 versions right there. And let's see, Daniel's father was Thomas Owen, who served as secretary of the Governor Stephen Hopkins, signer of the Declaration of Independence in 1776, and in his own right served with great honor in Rhode Island's diverse political history. Daniel's brother, Captain Solomon Owen, served with patriotic and civil service as well, and the captain of the Susanna was instrumental in the Revolutionary War and was known for involvement in the Battle of Newport. They were also directors of the Farmers Exchange Bank, right down the street here, and at his house at Oriole Mill Road. Lane, excuse me. And also Captain sailed often to the East Indies, and I did understand that he also sailed to Suriname, which is on the very tip of South America. So Daniel being recognized as highly ranked for providing patriotic and civil service throughout the war, Senior member of Committee of Safety in Chepachet, he contributed member of the Revolution, he was Lieutenant Governor in the great state of Rhode Island, 26th Chief Justice, and he served as a co-host of great leaders in Newport, such as Paul Revere, General Lafayette, President Washington, and Thomas Jefferson. He also co-founded Barton in northern Vermont with a land grant in 1781 with General William Barton, and that land is still in the Owen name up there to this day. Daniel's home was actually located directly across the street, and I can get to that now to show you. I'll hand these out.
I'll have those before you do that.
Yeah, we'll put it at my office. Thank you.
Which one?
So hit source again, and then go back left.
See?
Yes.
There it is.
Excellent, thank you. So tonight, we're proposing this monument. And we're at the site here. Currently in Glocester Town Hall, and where we saw a nice place to place this monument to be there. Daniel's home is recognized as being across the street at Ben Dollar, where the telephone pole is. If you can see that today, that's exactly where that home was. We'll get to that shortly. Zooming in on the site a little bit more, proposed site. We think it fits in quite well. There's plenty of room for accessibility. And this is where we're seeing that right now for accessibility, parking, landscaping environment. And we think that's a pretty good proposal for this location. That is the home of Daniel, 1770s Cape home, located directly across the street from here where we're standing.
And if you look in your booklet, you'll see that that telephone pole is right close to the corner of the house. That telephone pole is still out there. That's all that's left.
Here it is back in the 1920s.
Wow.
This photograph is from that time period. If everyone can see on that standing.
Oh, yeah, no, perfect.
And thanks for the photo from Glocester Heritage Society. And this was taken down in 1960s. Edna did tell me a story when I first met her, that she would come out of this school building, as it was at the time, and look directly across the street and saw the house. Really interesting to see that. Here's landscape tour. I think it's situated quite well, with plenty of room for accessibility and viewing. And then here's the proposal of, as an environmental rendering or illustration showing that what it could look like. Using some of those,
Not that rock.
but similar to that.
Not that rock.
Put that up. And then for the stone, it could be about a ton and a half to 2 tons, about 4 feet in height, which is about 2 of these boards placed together. About that high or so, about that, and then about 3 feet wide. And tapering up to somewhat of a pear shape, or similar to the Coates Cemetery stone that we looked at as a template.
Do Do we have any farm stone from Gloucester that we could find?
We hope,
That's exactly what
We
we'd like
hope.
to do, yes.
Yeah,
Yes, so everything local, even down to the bronze plaque.
it should be a native
agreed.
stone.
The labels, yes,
Yeah.
everything's localized.
We got lots of rocks out here.
I see that, I drove today, I said, there's one, down the road it went. And then, we'll need a foundation for that stone because of the frost heaving, so the concrete would be approximately the size of the boulder, maybe a little larger, but it has to be at least 4 feet depth, and it'll be a monolithic poured concrete base, which the grade of it can be lowered, so we can cover that with landscape materials mulch wood.
Sure.
There's the two choices we have tonight. We are going on this.
Yeah, I like that one.
Towards this. Line that says.
Stars are always good.
You like the stars?
Mm.
I do too. Yeah, that was a second choice, and it's growing on us over there. It works.
And then just some background history. There's the Fusio set that he developed with people from New Haven. It's the first strike. It's called the Fusio,
That's
meaning
in your
I
book,
flee
too.
or I fly, meaning don't waste your time, keep your head to the grindstone, do thy personal best. Those kind of mottos. It comes from Benjamin Franklin's 13 Virtues and the 13 Colonies. And just really, the motto is mind your business, not meaning someone to mind their own business, but mind your business. Keep your head to the grindstone. This is a broadside from his 1785 political broadside for its election with Governor John Collins, and they did become both governor and deputy governor Daniel Owen. And it's just a little nice piece of, somebody did write all the way around it, but it was to relieve the distress that you had to remember at that time, 1785, after the aftermath of the Revolutionary War. Rhode Island was in shambles, and they needed some people behind it to raise it back up, rebuild.
Kind of where we are right now.
Kind of where we are right now, but maybe a little bit better position since we have this country.
Plus, they didn't have as much paper.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
paper
true.
was really limited.
Absolutely.
I have a question about the coin.
Yes.
Was it, you mentioned Benjamin Franklin, was it originating from one of Benjamin Franklin's designs, or was it an original design?
It's the original design, but there were certain aspects of Franklin's coin and this coin that they sort of merged.
Yeah, because they used to have like an ancient clip art, they used to just
Yeah.
pick pieces from it to use it, that's
But
pretty
Daniel
neat.
was responsible for making the die or the stamp for that, and he helped it, those. There is some information that we're looking for to make the connection of where they actually made the coin. So we don't think he made it here. We think he made the stamp here, the die here, but we don't think he made any coinage here in Chepachet, but we are looking for certain information for that. Last slide. Daniel's buried right up the Victory Highway there. I was there today. Glocester Heritage Society did an incredible job in that cemetery. Fantastic. And he's known as the Sons of the American Revolution. And again, going with that plaque. But, that's what I have for you tonight. Accept this proposal and think about it. If you have any questions or comments.
Are you proposing, that would be the actual size of the plaque?
This is the actual size, 18 by 24, yes. And that stone would be a little bit larger than that.
Yep. Well, we can't take any action tonight, but we can definitely take this into consideration, get back to you soon.
Excellent.
It's-
Good. I should leave my contact information.
Yeah, if you can leave that, I know knows how to get in contact with you as well, so.
Yeah, okay, fantastic.
We're only looking for the opportunity to have a place to put this.
Thank you.
Owen family is sponsoring this, and private donations will be okay.
Do you live in the area too?
I live in Bucks County, Pennsylvania right
Oh,
now.
okay.
My son goes to the University of Massachusetts in Boston, so I go by this area quite a lot. And I've been researching my family's history for the past 10 years now, and it's taken me all the way from Braintree to here in Chepachet.
Anybody still in Rhode Island? In Rhode Island?
Not that I know of, no, but
Yeah.
in Vermont, yes. And I was born in Burlington, Vermont, and I found most people up there.
All right, so that makes sense. That was my next sidebar question, because I was gonna say, where does a person next to Philly have a Canadians pin on?
Well, we have a certain Jaden Struble who's on the Canadiens, who's from Providence. And
All right. just
But
wondering.
yes, they got into the playoffs last night.
Sound like he's
But
from
it
Philly,
is-
but he's got a Canadians pin on,
Yes.
it's in Bruins territory, so.
Yeah, my father used to take us to the Forum in the early 70s,
All
late
right,
60s.
It's one of the originals.
Yes, yes.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much. I appreciate
Thank
all the
you.
time.
Thank you.
Great presentation.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thanks, Edna, too.
Thank you, Ed.
All right, anybody else for open? All right, can I get a motion?
Make a motion to seek to convene to close the executive session pursuant to A, RIGL 42-46-5, A2 sessions pertaining to collective bargaining, litigation, or work sessions pertaining to collective bargaining or litigation. 1, discussion by council, vote, or other action, RE negotiations for successor union contracts.
A second?
Second.
Will the clerk call the roll?
Councilman Burlingame.
Aye.
Councilman Parisi.
Aye.
Councilman Greathouse.
Aye.
Councilman Steer.
Aye.
Councilman Worthy.
Aye. All right, thank you.